Your dreams are bigger, bolder, and more badass than the life you're living now, but something just keeps getting in the way. Join certified coach and former therapist Diane Wingert for the Driven Woman podcast. She'll show you how to get rid of whatever is holding you back so you can stop spinning your wheels and up-level your life. Get ready to hop in and buckle up. This is the Driven Woman podcast, and we're heading for the fast lane.
Hey there, Driven Woman. I am really excited to talk with you today about something I see all the time in businesses that are run by females. I am talking about the massive amount of confusion and inner conflict that stems from two words, worth and value. There is so much nonsense and mental fuckery that goes on in the world of coaching and consulting for people who are talking to women about know your worth, know your value, and using those two things interchangeably. They don't mean the same thing, my friends. They do not mean the same thing. And I will tell you, I have never met a woman in the many, many, many years that I have been one, raised a daughter, had a sister, had nieces, friends, cousins, neighbors, sorority sisters, female colleagues. I have never met a woman who didn't have some kind of self-worth issues. It's a very sad commentary, and I definitely lay the blame on our culture and on gender conditioning, and just the sad fact that probably a third of all women have experienced some sort of sexual trauma in their life. This, I think, is where the root of a lot of this self-worth nonsense happens. And whatever is going on in our heads comes along in our business and starts to play itself out. Now, I'm going to say something that will probably be a little provocative, and I make no apology for it, because as a business coach, I see a lot of other business coaches who also work with female solopreneurs, encouraging them to know your worth, admonishing them to charge their worth. And when a woman feels uncomfortable with doubling her rates or trying to be the most expensive coach or consultant in her niche, oftentimes the very business coach that she has spent a lot of money for help with is telling her, if you don't raise your rates, that is reflecting the fact that you have problems in your money mindset. Well, maybe, but maybe not. Maybe you should be encouraging her to charge according to her value. And I don't mean her value as a human being, or necessarily even her value as a coach, consultant, or service provider. We are talking about market value and value in the eyes of the person you hope to serve. So clearly, I have a lot of thoughts about this, and I want to break it down in a few areas. For example, most of us have experienced some sort of relationship trauma in life. I mean, we can go all the way back to teenage, college, early adult years. A lot of us have been through emotional breakups, divorces. We've been dumped. Hey, it's even traumatizing when you're the one who ends the relationship. I know that one for a fact. But oftentimes, our relationship stuff that gets carried over into our business, we are completely unaware of. When you hear statements like, well, don't my clients think I'm worth more? Is this all they think I'm worth? Don't they think I'm worth more by the hour? And a lot of it can be brought down to how much you charge per hour is the way many of us come into the field. I was a psychotherapist for many, many years. You had an hourly fee. And it was one of the first things people would ask when they would seek out your services, even if you're a specialist. And it was a rare client who said, I was referred to you. I hear you're the best. How soon can I get in to see you? Some of them never even asked about the fee, but many of them did. Many of us have been indoctrinated over the course of our lifetime to evaluate purchases based on price. And price worth and value all sort of start to get mixed up together. So let's say, for example, you charge $200 an hour. Does that mean you are worth $200 an hour? No, of course not. It doesn't even necessarily mean your time is worth $200 an hour. This is how I think of it. If you are charging $200 an hour to perform a service, let's say an hour of coaching, consulting, therapy, website development, whatever it is that you do, copywriting, and you charge by the hour, that hour has a value. The value is how much time does it take for the customer, the client, the prospect? How much of their time would it take to produce the thing that you can do in an hour? Maybe never, maybe no amount of time on their part because they have no idea how to do it. They know they need it. They know they want it. They know they need someone to do it for them, and that someone might be you. But how do they evaluate whether it's, quote, worth the $200? You see why this is confusing? There are some customers who only make buying decisions based on the price. Some customers always want the most expensive because that is easiest for them. They have a belief if it's the most expensive, if the product or service provider is the most expensive in their category, in their mind, that either means they're the best or they want to work with the most discriminating clientele. So that feels comfortable to them to always pay the most across the board. In a way, it's a shortcut. Just like other clients, customers, prospects who are on the other end of the purchasing spectrum always want the cheapest because they're afraid of being taken advantage of, because they always want to get a deal, because their ego requires them to win by always thinking they're getting the best price. Some of them even brag to their friends about it. I have known people who are multimillionaires who always have to pay the lowest price because that makes them feel like they're winning. It's like they come to every single transaction as though it were a zero-sum game and they need to win. And the way they evaluate whether they're winning or not is, did they get the lowest price that particular vendor will accept from a customer? So much of this, so much of what you charge, how people value your services has zero to do with worth. Oftentimes, it has a lot more to say about what they think their time and energy and effort is worth, and little to nothing about yours. I spoke in an earlier solo episode about why I do not encourage people to barter unless you are literally absolutely bootstrapping your business and you are only dealing with other people who are also bootstrapping their business simply because neither of you has any money at all. It is a trap if you stay there beyond the very, very beginning stages of your business, though. And sooner or later, you will find that it is not an equitable value exchange. And that's why I don't recommend it. That's why I've actually helped a number of my clients extricate themselves from bartering relationships that have gone sour, and they have ended up feeling totally resentful and exploited. It's very easy to see how that can happen. What makes it difficult once you're in that kind of situation makes it difficult to get out because you start getting into conversations about worth. And if you notice, worth sounds an awful lot like self-worth. And since this, in my opinion, I used to say my humble opinion, but I know I'm not that humble. I'm too wise to be humble. I have learned too much from experience to be humble. So while I don't think I'm arrogant per se, you want to definitely message me if you disagree. But I don't want to say in my humble opinion. In my opinion, based on experience, women are much more inclined to get confused between what is this worth and self-worth. I will tell you a couple stories about this. Years ago, when I was just getting started as a psychotherapist, I had to leave my position as a clinical director of a large agency because I was being harassed. I did not choose to go look for another similar job because I saw a couple of my other friends who were also clinical directors of large agencies being harassed. So I decided it was time for me to go work on my own. I had no referral sources. There were so many other therapists in the city where I lived and worked. I could not have gotten paneled on an insurance company. I attempted to, actually. I was willing to work for insurance company referrals, but I could not even get paneled because there were over 400 other therapists in that zip code. So I had to go and charge fee for service, all cash. Well, I had no idea what to charge. I'd never even expected to be in the position of being self-employed. So I looked around, I saw what other therapists were charging, and I did the dumbest thing ever. It's a classic beginner mistake. Coaches, consultants, and service providers, the majority of us, I think, do this. But I strongly encourage the clients that I work with now as a business coach, do not do this. What did I do? I undercut other people's price. I decided that since I was not on an insurance panel and nobody's insurance was going to pay for my services, the only thing I could do was to have them pay less out of pocket than any other therapist. Well, anyone who knows anything about how money works, and I certainly have learned over the years how money works, but I didn't know then, was that you have to see a lot more clients when you're charging a lot fewer dollars. I did a lot of other really dumb things back then too, like I didn't calculate rent and taxes, and I was not profitable. Let's just put it that way. Let's make it very simple. So I thought the only way someone is going to hire me when they can hire someone off their insurance panel or someone else who's more experienced in terms of being in private practice longer, the only reason they would hire me is if I charge less. And that was not a good strategy because it meant I was working all the time, literally didn't feel comfortable turning anyone away. So, and I've spoken on earlier episodes about the whole sliding fee scale. So if someone brought up a sliding fee, they say, how much do you charge? And I say, let's say $100 a session. Oh, they wouldn't even have to have said, oh, that's more than I expected or more than I can afford. Or they just said, oh, and I was immediately thinking it was too much and offering them a discount. And if they said, oh, do you have a sliding fee scale? I immediately assumed that they couldn't afford 100 or that they didn't think it was worth it. Now, here is where things get icky and sticky. And if you are still with me, you're nodding your head as we ride along, because if someone can't afford you, that does not have to mean you're not worth it to them. I think about all the times that I, as a younger woman, have thought if somebody broke up with me or there was a challenge, like maybe one of us moved, and so they would have to drive further to date me, and we ended up breaking up. What story did I tell myself? Well, I guess they didn't think it was worth it. Hey, it's Diane with a quick interruption to the episode because I've got a couple questions I just need to ask you. 1, are you where you want to be in your business? Are you making the money you want to make, working the hours you want to work, seeing the clients that you want to see, and getting the income and impact that you went into business to get? And if the answer is no, what's holding you back? Why is there a gap between where you are and where you want to be? Do you know the answer? In my experience working with female solopreneurs, so many of them don't even really know what's standing in their way, and that is so frustrating. So I created a little quiz called What's Holding You Back? There's a link to it in the show notes. If this is you, please take the quiz. And if you do, DM me on Instagram at Coach Diane Wingert and let me know your results. Now, on the other hand, if you already know what's holding you back, if you already know what the obstacles are that are getting in your way from achieving the income and impact that you deserve and desire, then I don't want you to take the quiz. Forget about the quiz. Go directly to the other link in the show notes and book a consult with me. I may be the very coach, and this may be the year that you put all of that behind you and really have the business that you went into business to have. For everybody else, keep on listening. And if you find value in what you hear, don't forget to leave me a rating and review on Apple or wherever you're listening. Here we go, back to the show.
So I remember when we talked about what you introduced as habit stacking, so pairing your habits. And when you did initially bring that up, my initial reaction was like, ugh, like that sounds awful. I don't want to do that. But that was like one of the first shifts that our work together had changed. And that is something that I'm grateful for every day. So the first thing I do in the morning is I go pee. And so what your advice was, take your medication, right after, have your glass of water there in the bathroom. And so that's sort of my daily routine is going to the bathroom, taking my medication, contacts, coffee. Yeah. And it's great because it just cuts out any chance of forgetting, which then would lead to kind of lollygagging around and then like, oh, wait, have I taken it? I should take it. Wait, but this one other thing. And so that really starts off the day so consistently and well. So that is the first thing. And then with regards to the rest of my morning routine, my best friend and I, we live together and we exercise in the morning now. So we've been doing that for the past 4 months, like at least 4 days a week. And so we do beach body, and it's just really fun because we do have the accountability of there's going to be someone waiting for you. So your butt better be up.
Do you see why this is a problem when we bring that mindset into our business? Because if we assume that if someone thinks our price is high, or they question our rates, our fees, our packages, our programs, and we take that to mean either they don't think I'm worth it, or we question ourselves and wonder if in fact we are worth it, there's only one direction this can go. And that is a race to the bottom. I don't know about you, but I never consciously set out to be the cheapest person doing what I do, ever. I also never set out to be the most expensive person doing what I do. Now, in any industry, there will be someone who's charging less than everyone else. Someone has to be at the bottom of the barrel. And there will be someone who's charging more than everyone else. This will be true across every industry and in every zip code, every city, every state, every country, and so forth. Now, if you want to be the cheapest person, I don't have a problem with that, but let it be because that's what you have chosen. That is what you desire, and that is in alignment with your business goals and business values. Don't just end up being the cheapest person because you are confusing value and worth. Same thing with the highest price. Someone will be the highest price in your particular category of coaching, consulting, or service providing. But did you set out to be the highest price person? Is that your goal? Can you back it up? Are you prepared to serve the clientele that will pay the highest price? Because chances are they're going to have different needs, different wants, and different expectations than other clients will. All of these things should really be thought out. Some of us also have baggage when we go into our own business with leftover trauma and drama that has left its mental and emotional residue on us because of salary politics in other places we've worked. And as a woman, I can tell you, I am well aware that many of us have experienced some degree of trauma and drama in our life because of salary politics. When we become aware that a male counterpart is making significantly more than we are for the very same job. So I understand that these things play into the confusion between worth and value, but I am really, really, really encouraging you to avoid thinking along the lines of worth. Your self-worth is not negotiable, period. You are the one who gets to decide your self-worth. If you don't like your estimation of your self-worth, then do some work around that. But don't bring that into your business because it will cause you to undercut your pricing, work too hard, And it is very closely related to having poor boundaries with your team members, with your clients, and with your vendors. So it is absolutely a race to the bottom and will cause you to either burn out or fail or both. Now, what I want you to do instead, including not listening to bad advice from coaches who sort of challenge you to prove how committed you are to your success by doing things like doubling your fees every year. I have heard other business coaches tell their clients, if you are serious about your success, then you need to prove it by doubling your fees. Now, I understand theoretically where this comes from. Sometimes we really do need to be challenged, and sometimes challenging someone in a group coaching program really forces them to confront limiting beliefs and money mindset blocks. But if it is just done because the coach wants to be able to brag that all of her clients double their income while working with her, I think it is reckless. I think it is irresponsible. And I have actually personally seen it be traumatizing to people enrolled in programs where these kinds of practices take place. So if someone's telling you that's how you prove that you're committed to your success, please stop listening to that person. Here's what I would like to suggest instead. Focus on outcomes. You have probably heard this advice. Don't charge by the hour, charge by the outcome. Some people will not even explain that's why many coaches and consultants will encourage their clients to put their services in a package or a program or a product, because it sort of steers you and your potential clients away from evaluating you based on an hourly rate. Focusing on the outcome means you need to be able to understand what are the benefits of working with you. What are the benefits? Nobody cares about the features. They really don't. They don't care how many weeks it is. They don't care how many handouts they get. They don't care that they, get Voxer access. What they care about is what is the outcome that your product, program, or service is promising me if I am the right client for you. If you do, if you sign up for this, what can I expect? By focusing on the outcome and being able to sell it to the right clients, articulating the benefits, now you are steering wide and clear from self-worth issues. Your program, product, or service should be able to deliver a benefit, and you should know what it is and be able to talk about it with confidence. If you don't know how to talk about it, you need to focus on that. If you don't know how to articulate it, you need to focus on that. If you don't know how to price it appropriately, you need to focus on that. But none of these things are related to your worth. They are related to the ability to understand what your prospective client or customer needs, what value they place on having that need met, to be able to articulate that, to be able to speak to the person who places the value on that outcome at the level that you wish to be paid. And sometimes what we're talking about is how much time and energy you're able to save that person. For example, what websites, okay? I have a long checkered past with websites. I don't know how many websites I've had over the last 10, 12 years, maybe as many as 8 or 9 of them. I have paid all kinds of price points, worked with a variety of different people. After a couple of very unsuccessful, unhappy experiences, I decided I was going to learn how to build my own website, and even took a couple of different website development courses because I figured that was the only way I was going to get the outcome I wanted. What I learned from that is I am not a website developer, but I also learned what the value of a well-designed website was in a timely manner with a person that I trusted and who was not going to leave me high and dry after the website was built if I continued to have questions. Once I was able to define what it was worth to me not to have to learn how to build my own website and take the time to build it, what I knew what it was, and I did use the word worth, what it was worth to me to have that experience, then I could place a monetary value that gave me a range that I could look for pricing in. Do I value a website at $10,000? I do not. Do I value a website at $500? No. It is between those two. And I also value a really good working relationship with someone who is providing a service, program, or product that is vital to the success of my business. And let's face it, we all like to work with people that get us, that we feel accepted by, who seem to like us. And especially when you're talking about your business, working with people who appear to want your business to succeed too. And that has value as well. Not for everybody. Hey, there are going to be some prospective clients and customers who you could literally bend yourself in half and they will not value that extra effort. You have to decide what you're willing to do, what hours you're willing to put in, what amount of aggravation you're willing to experience, because at every single price point, at every level of value in the market value, there are amazing customers and there are customers from hell. You get to decide the value you want to deliver and the value you want to receive in terms of not only the dollars, the gratitude, the testimonials, the reviews, the referrals. That's part of the value exchange. So these are my thoughts on the difference between worth and value and why it's so frustrating for me to hear so many hard-working female solopreneurs get confused about their value and their worth. Doing business is a value exchange. It is not a test of your self-worth. And don't let anyone ever make you think otherwise. That's all for now. Next week, we'll be back with another amazing guest interview. I'll see you then.
You've been listening to the Driven Woman Podcast with Diane Wingert. Want more straight talk and strategy each week that will take you from spinning to winning? Don't forget to hit subscribe in your podcast player so you won't miss a single episode. Then head on over to the Driven Woman free and private Facebook group community. See you there.